How you doing, everybody? Welcome back. I told you that I was going to kind of get into some conspiracy theories at some point, and, I think I'm going to do that now. I'm not going to get into some of the bigger ones, like the JFK assassination. That's going to require a video of its own, if not multiple videos, to go over the explanation as to why Oswald acted alone, which I do believe that. I know a lot of people may not, but the evidence says that he did. 9/11, that's another one that I'm not going to get into that one at this point in time because there are just so many aspects to that it has to be debunked by itself, instead of as part of a larger video about just kind of conspiracy theories generally speaking. Same with COVID, and there's just too many different conspiracies, all of which conflict with each other and contradict each other, and I can't cover that all in one. And maybe I'll get into those and maybe not. And if I do get into them, those are going to be individual topics rather than what I'm going to do right now, which is go over a few of them that are easily debunked on their own. Because, let's be honest, the only real conspiracy theory is the existence of conspiracy theories. Right? Well, the only real conspiracy is the existence of conspiracy theories. But I'll explain that later. This first one that I'm gonna get into, it's actually more of an urban legend than it is a conspiracy theory per se. Gene Simmons of Kiss. For those of you who know anything about him, he has an incredibly long tongue. And, most people can stick out their tongue and touch their nose. It's that easy. Most people cannot touch their nose with their tongue. So, yeah, he's got a long tongue. For that to be a cow's tongue grafted onto his tongue, though? Yeah, really? Come on. That's just silly on its face. But let's kind of get into it a little bit. Have you ever seen a cow's tongue? If you go, some grocery stores you go to, you'll find a beef tongue. Beef tongue is like that friggin' wide. You take a tongue that wide and try to stick it in. I mean, granted, Gene Simmons has a big mouth. And I mean that with all respect, because I love Gene. But you're not going to fit a tongue this wide into a mouth that wide. Plus, if it was grafted on, if you've actually seen, Gene wiggle his tongue around, and, he wouldn't have that kind of control over it. Especially considering it would have happened at the absolute latest, about 1974. So, the technology wouldn't have been there at the time. So, debunked. But, that's just kind of a stupid one anyway. That doesn't really matter. Doesn't really hurt anybody. Another one, and we're staying in the world of entertainment here. Paul is dead. Referring to Paul McCartney. Allegedly, in 1966, Paul McCartney died. The most common story that I've heard is that he died in a car accident. and then he was replaced with a look-alike. And that look-alike just happens to sound exactly like him too, right? And let's also take into consideration here, right? That's been almost 60 years. You tell me somebody wouldn't have come forward at some point in that amount of time saying that, yeah, I'm not really Paul McCartney, I'm actually this guy. But let's just kind of look at some things that kind of fed into that conspiracy theory. If you look at the Abbey Road album and the Sgt. Pepper's album, there are some clues on the cover that that supposedly prove that Paul is dead. Like on Abbey Road, Paul is the only one barefoot, and I don't remember if everybody else is leading with their right and he's leading with his left, or if it's the other way around, but he's barefoot and he's out of step with the other guys. Okay, well, maybe, you ever stop to consider that maybe that could mean absolutely nothing at all, or it could be as simple as, hey, you know what, he's left-handed and the other guys are not. I don't know. Or maybe it's nothing. You know, also supposedly the lyrics to, like, I Am the Walrus, and, you know, some other songs that I can't think of off the top of my head, but yeah, that's supposed to be more evidence that Paul McCartney is in fact dead and has been since 1966. Nonsense. He is the most influential musician in the world alive today. You know, and that's gonna be true until whenever he dies for real. All right. Let's get into some other conspiracy theories. Flat Earth. The Earth is flat. Go up in an airplane. Seriously, just go up in an airplane. You can see the curvature of the Earth from an airplane. I know, I get it. Just, you know, the shape of the windows makes it look like there's a curvature there, right? Yeah, whatever. I mean, but this goes along with the moon landing was a hoax, and, you know, that NASA's lying, and, you know, whatever. The Earth is round. And we've known that for centuries. You know, and long before, you know, some people like to say that Columbus proved that the Earth was round, when it was proven long before then, actually. Along the same line of the flat Earth theory, the moon isn't real. Really? I mean, I can't see it right now because it's the middle of the day. But what is that big thing that I see up there at night, you know? What, it's a hologram? Sure, whatever. Why? To what end? What's the purpose behind it? The moon isn't real. It just makes no sense on its face, and, you know, I mean, there's really no reason to pretend that there is a moon if there's not. And also, gravity, the tides, come on. You can do better than that, conspiracy theorists. Here's another one that's ridiculous just on its face. Reptilian people. Really? I don't even know why I included that in here. Really? Reptilians? rather than me having to disprove this one, you need to prove it, because just on its face, it makes no sense. You know? I mean, I guess the reptilians are the people in charge or whatever, but how can some people who come from nothing become the people in charge? How do, like, these nobody people become reptilians, or are they reptilians and that's how they become somebody? Or you got to give me something to work with here, conspiracy theorists. Give me something. All right. The 2020 election. All right. Math. Simple math. One guy gets more votes than the other. The guy with the more votes wins. All right. Now, all right. I get it. You're going to tell me, well, yeah, but we have an electoral college system. Okay. So the guy that gets more electoral votes wins the election. Right? Now, there was a race here in my state of Iowa for Congress where the Republican candidate won by 6 votes. No, I'm talking about 5, 6. Let's see if I can. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was the difference in votes. Now, I don't believe that there was fraud in that case. I'm just throwing it out there that I don't believe that was a fraudulently decided election. However, I will say this. That is a number where fraud could have thrown the election one way or the other. Could have. But, you know, let's just accept the fact that sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. It's math, people. It's math. QAnon was another one that I was going to get into, but with as ridiculous and crazy as that one is, I think that's going to need its own video as well, because there are just so many elements to it. But apparently Donald Trump is like some superhero out to save the world from satanic cannibalistic pedophiles or something like that. And there's more to it than that, but it's kind of ridiculous. I'll get into that one some other time, maybe, if I think to get around to it. But the other one, Michelle Obama is a man. Really? Really? You know, they cite this mysterious Michael Robinson that went missing from Chicago, you know, without a trace, and then Michelle Obama came from nowhere. Well, Michelle Obama happened to be born in Chicago. She has a birth certificate from Chicago with her date of birth on it, her name, and Michelle, I want to say her middle name is LaVon Robinson, was born in Chicago. But, you know, I guess that goes along with all the conspiracy theories about Barack Obama, and you know what, they're just all ridiculous. So, I don't know, she's a man, she's trans, she's something. None of it's true, there's no evidence for it, and all of these conspiracy theories, you've got no evidence for any of them. There are some that I didn't mention here, but there are some that do have evidence to support them. Maybe I'll get to those later, but in the meantime, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.